Hey there, FlossTube. This is Kathy, the hands-on designer. It's a Monday afternoon on May 20th, and I got thinking, I was like, May? This is actually my second video in the month of May. I don't know that I've ever done two videos in 1 month before. So, all right, look at me go now. So I'm gonna try and make this another quick little one with maybe a little tutorial on the end of it. Got lots of news to share. I do want to give you a little Mania update for me. And I want to say, number one, I have loved seeing everybody's progress on their Mania pieces. Thank you for tagging or hashtagging or whatever, hands-on design in your stitches. I love seeing your daily progress. It's just fantastic. And so I wanted to share mine as well. As I showed you in my last video, I kind of did my own Mania. You know, remember, no Mania police, and none have come to my door yet, so I'm still good. No Mania police stitchings going on. Anyway, so this is one of my Manias. This was from Ink Circles. It's called Arranging Vegetables. And again, not the called for fabric or threads. It's a 36 count over 2 with 1 strand. It's some sampler threads that I'm using. And when I showed it last time, this section here was kind of empty, and then I only had a couple of the vegetables filled in. So the green, the dark green, the base is now all done, and I'm slowly filling in some of the veggies. So getting my daily dose of veggies. Now I will say, okay, I haven't been stitching on it every day, but I feel like some days I do a little bit more, and that sort of, if probably averages out, I'm probably doing okay. But I am really sure that I'm going to be able to get this done by the end of May. And who knows, maybe start working on that other piece that I talked about too. So that's my Mania. So keep going, everybody. I know a few people, I've read posts where they've said, oh, I fell in love with this one. I can't stop stitching this one. I had to let some others go, or I didn't like this one and I'm switching it up. And that's part of what it's all about. It's just, you know, I mean, don't have it be, I don't know, it should be fun. It just should be fun. So there you go. That's my Mania update. And I've got a couple new releases coming up. They'll ship out on May 30th. The information just went out to shops. So first up is the next in the Farmhouse Chalk series, Star-Spangled Swine Farm. You got to be careful how you say that. Anyway, so 3 pieces again in the chart. This is I call this the sampler piece. I have like a sampler, the sign, and the small. And of course, you know, this is the collection that I do with Priscilla Blaine. She draws the picture, and this just is fun. I love the banners, all the border at the top and everything. I did mine. I finished it the same way I did the Carrots and Cottontail Farm, which was the first one that came out in the series a couple months ago. You did my clip. I showed you all in a little tutorial how I attach the cotton fabric to the mat board. And so I'll do more tutorials on different bits of the finishing. I think I kind of want to really try and concentrate on keeping my videos, you know, a little short. But so my model, the cover model, is stitched on 32 count slate fabrics by Stephanie. Let me tell you, there are a ton of different types of chalkboardy type fabric. So find what works best for you. So just because I did this, or, you know, somebody else did that, or whatever, you know, find what works for you. There's plenty of Adas out there as well. So definitely make that work for you. And again, my friends at Just Another Button Company did a little pin mini there. Pin minis is a small pin set of 3 pins. I'm doing this a lot. I don't know. You can't see it. But they did little red, white, and blue stars, which I thought just was fun because it coordinated with the red, white, and blue stars that Priscilla drew in there. So just a super fun one. We've got little piggies in this one. We've got, of course, chickens. We've got a couple of piggies in the truck. And then, again, new favorite chicken. I don't know. I never thought I'd say those words, but so that's the sampler. And then we've got the sign. I almost called it the Swine. Somewhere along the line, I realized, because we've got the sampler, the sign, and the small, I realized, oh my goodness, we're gonna get to call this one the Swine sign. And I have yet to be able to say that without laughing. So I love the bunting and the little chickens in the bunting, and we got little piggy pies there, and just a fun piece. This is a pretty quick stitch. Actually, I think it was all a pretty quick stitch this time. So, but anyway, there are 13 colors. I kind of wanted to make sure that you all knew this. There's 13 colors in this, a mix. There are some DMC for the real small bits and, you know, pieces, Crescent Colors, Weeks Dye Works, and of course Channel Art Sampler Threads. You know, gotta have our chalk in there. But there's a couple colors that only are noted twice, because in some sections they're stitched just with one ply. That's just kind of for a little effect. So make sure as you're reading, you might go, well, she used grape leaf there. Why are we using it here for this symbol? I gave them different symbols so you would know which section to give the one ply or the two ply. So hopefully that works out for you. And yes, I do DMC substitutions for all the hand dyes within the chart, so it's always in that bracketed number behind the hand dyed number, so just so you know what that is. Anyway, so Star-Spangled Swine, and again I did my finish that I've done before. This is laced onto a piece of mat board that I custom cut, and it has and I think I'll talk about that one time too, like how to kind of come up with that shape. And then of course there's a couple layers of batting, and that's on a piece of foam core. And then I've got also a little piece of mat board behind it just to kind of make the back purdy. And like I said before, this one's gonna probably be just a leaner. It's gonna tuck into a shelf somewhere and just kind of lean. So Star-Spangled Swine. And then the fun little pillow, the small red, white, and moo. This cracked me up because, okay, I grew up like in suburbia, but we were kind of like the new development on the edge of suburbia. So we actually had a dairy farm across from where I grew up. So I woke up to cows every day, even though, you know, I didn't live on a farm. And where we live now, we actually have cows across the way. We're definitely more rural where we are now, but so I'm loving the cow motif, so the red, white, and moo. So I finished mine as a little pillow, just like I did for my hippity hop in the carrots and cottontails. And then I wanted to put something fun down here, like I did on the hippity hop. I did a little Just Another Button Company button and some wool felt. Same thing here, but I thought I would go with that bunting theme again. And I just, you know, that's why I signed up for the Just Another Button Company Button Lovers Club, is I raided my little stash of buttons again. Now, is there a trick to this? Is there a pattern to it? No, it's white wool felt. And it comes, I usually get it on a sheet, like, well, a bigger sheet, but you can see I've cut away a little bit of it. And I was experimenting here with all sorts of different little pieces. What I love about wool felt is it's not a woven fabric, so you can just cut and it's not gonna unravel, and it's pretty forgiving, I think. So literally I made this like maybe about an inch and a quarter, and then you can see I was doing a diagonal line here, and I really just eyeballed it. And then if you really like this, I laid it on there and I went, yeah, that's the size I want. Then I kind of used this as a guide, just laid it on top. Can you see? It's hard to see with the white. I laid it on top of the next section and just used that almost like a pattern, and then just cut, and made my 3 little pennants. Then I decided I wanted the little curve. I like the little movement here. And so I just kind of curved the top a little bit. Super easy. I literally just, you know, folded the, oops, okay, I got a phone call in the middle of that. So I folded my little triangle in half, and I took my handy dandy scissors again, and I kind of just gave it a little angle, just a little. Okay, I'm trying to do this without my cheater glasses. So I just gave it a little, just a little snip to kind of curve the top in. And like I said, what I like about this is that you can, if you don't like it, just cut it again. It's not going to unravel. And if you really screw it up, wool felt is pretty well inexpensive. I mean, you can buy like a 9x12 sheet of it for like less than around $2, and you can get a lot out of that. So, so anyway, so I took my little pennants once I had them the right size, and I tacked them. I mean, they're not attached to the gingham in any spot other than like the corners. And I put the middle one in first, just in case it kind of moved around on me. I wanted to make sure that my middle one was set. And then then I went and I did my other two sides. So I just tacked the very top corners, and then I went over those with a button. And I just kind of did the tie down in red, so I'd have the red, white, and blue. And then I took the buttons from, like I said, I kind of rated my Just Another Button Company Button Lovers Club. This is a smoothie pack of denim buttons. I use, let's see, 4 buttons in all, 4 3/8" light denim buttons. And the folks at Just Another Button Company I sent them the picture, and they did, I'll put the number below, but if you want to finish it like I did and you want to find those buttons, they did actually make a small button pack to order so that you can order those buttons if you want to finish the red, white, and moo the way I did. It's HOD 10437 is the order number. I believe it's on the website. I will put the information down below as well, so you can order from there. Anyway, so there you go. You've got, let's see if I can do this. So you've got your sampler. I can't hold them all, sorry. And then you've got your sign, your swine sign. And then you've got your red, white, and moo pillow. So this one was a lot of fun. As always, I enjoy working with Priscilla on these, and it's always exciting to see what she comes up with next in the drawing. I'm always excited to see when I get an email from her that's got the attachment, so I know there's pictures coming. Anyway, so that's Star-Spangled Swine, your summer edition of Farmhouse Chalk. I also have the next 3 in the Scary Apothecary series. And okay, so last time we had Bat Bomb, Bitter Brew, and Broomstick Fuel. Vroom, vroom. And sometimes that's why I name things, like I kind of keep it in the B's, because then it helps me remember, quite frankly. So this time we moved to the letter C. So we're going to start off with Cackle Lozenges. Okay, originally, so I've done these little secondary taglines, and originally I wanted to say, got a frog in your throat? I love that frog. But it didn't fit. So sometimes you just gotta, you know, okay, whatever. So then I thought, well, when you cackle, you want to shriek. And if you're, you know, into this kind of thing, you want to shriek well. So you want to make sure that you have your Cackle Lozenges handy if you got a frog in your throat. I don't know. It all kind of goes together. Again, that same color palette. This is stitched on. I used 32 count Winter Wishes fabrics by Stephanie. The entire color palette is Classic Colorworks. I did also use number 4 Krynic braid, like your froggy is in number 4 braid. So one strand of the Krynic braid as it comes off the spool. Very easy to work with. I really enjoyed just adding that little bit of scary sparkle to this series. So Cackle Lozenge, just when you want to shriek well. All right, so next we have Coffin Paint. At first I was kind of like, ooh, is that kind of, I don't know. Coffin Paint, it's got an after lifetime warranty. Okay, this one came about because when you paint, like when you paint a room, do you look at paint and they all have like, you know, 15-year warranty, 20-year, I'm thinking a 20-year warranty, in 20 years, I'll have probably painted that room at least 3 times. So what's with the warranty? Anyway, but this has an after lifetime warranty. And it's even got a little, a rolling brush and I've got some paint brushes up here, and the paintbrush and the rolling brush are also in Krynic braid. So just a lot of fun, just a little bit of sparkle. And I think I did mention that there would be a template for all of these because they're all finished the same way, and it is now up on my website. So if you go to handsondesign.biz and then you go to the tutorial section, you'll see the template there that you can print out. So after lifetime warranty, I just love that moon. He just kind of cracks me up. He's got pretty heavy brows there. Okay, so Coffin Paint. Then we have, hey, if you're gonna have a cauldron, you wanna make sure that your cauldron is clean. And if you want a clean cauldron, you're gonna have to get some Cauldron Cleaner. This one has enhanced spell check. So my two little kitties are named Spell and Check. And I love that. I love the cauldron burning, the flames in the cauldron, keeping it boiling. And I have to say, okay, I made a boo-boo. Okay, if you've stitched my charts, you know I love Smyrna crosses. And there were supposed to be some sparkly little Smyrna crosses in the cauldron. And as I was finishing it, I think I just got done finishing it and went, oh man, I forgot. I forgot them. I almost considered taking it apart just to put them in there because they were supposed to be in that same sparkle as the stars. Just all the little, you know, all the potion stuff around the cauldron. So that's your Cauldron Cleaner. So here you go. We've got the next, there'll be 9 in all. So this time, like I said, we focused on the letter C. We've got Cackle Lozenges. Coffin Paint, got that after lifetime warranty because you know you're not going to want to paint that coffin after, you know, you're gone. And then your Cauldron Cleaner with enhanced spell check. I actually need enhanced spell check for other things in life, just not my cauldron. So anyway, I hope you're having fun with these. I'm starting to see some people out there stitching them. I don't know, maybe definitely shoot me a message or something if you're stitching on these and you're posting pictures. A gal actually in the Hands-On Design Stitchers group is stitching them, and she's doing it on a really dark linen, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful on there. So I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to find that out for next time. But again, this is Winter Wishes, Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, 32 count. And Classic Colorworks Krynic number 4 braid. Don't let that scare you off because it's a lot of fun. We just use 1 ply. It's a lot of fun to work with and just gives it a little something extra. Flat finished, template available on the website now. So I have had a few emails with questions about, because last time when I showed you how I cover my mat board, or excuse me, my foam core with fabric using the double-sided acid-free stitchery tape. I had a few people ask, well, how do you know, what do you use to cut your mat board? How do you cut your mat board? So I thought, I'm just gonna give you a few tips and tricks. I don't know, it's what I do. I don't ever think like, you know, it's anything special. It's just what I do. It's what I've learned to do over the years, and I'm always looking to do better. I'm always looking to improve. So I'm going to show you a few things. Okay, first of all, you're going to definitely want to have, I have a selection of all kinds of quilting rulers. They're clear, they've got the marks on them, they've got angles on them. This one's a good size for what I'm going to cut. I also have long, narrow ones, that kind of thing. 2 handy little tools that you just kind of can't be without. I use this kind of an X-Acto blade because you can, you know, obviously the blade's down right now, then you can put the blade up, and as the blade becomes dull, then you need your needle nose pliers, and you can just snap it off and dispose of the dull blade and get a sharp blade. Having a sharp blade is really, truly, I would say, probably the key to a nice foam core cut, a nice clean edge. So you're also going to want some foam core. I keep scraps. So this, you know, I buy them in the larger sheets, and I don't always worry about getting the acid-free ones, but I do tend to get white because if I'm using it for something that's a dark fabric, I put black underneath it just so the white doesn't show through. That's a subject for another little tidbit talk. So I keep, especially a good sized chunk like this of foam core, I keep handy. It's just a standard size. I don't know, like maybe a 1/4 inch thick, something like that. There's nothing special about it, other than I keep the bigger chunks like this. And then I have quite a few of these. I do use a quilting mat. This is a nice little small one. I call this like my travel size. I have a bunch of these I take to classes. I travel to teach quite a bit, so I have kind of over the years built up a little selection of different tools to take with me. And like when these go on sale, these are fairly inexpensive. You're talking, a couple dollars at your hardware section, that kind of thing. So when stuff like that goes on sale, I buy in bulk just because I take them to class with me. It's part of my class when I go places, I teach finishing. And not everybody has all that. So anyway, so definitely you want some of this. And the reason, number one, is then we don't cut your countertop. And number two is you're really gonna wanna get comfortable with using these grids. Now you can see this is a well-loved one. I've got some bare spots. So we're gonna avoid spots like that because it can kind of change your measurement a little bit. I'm gonna grab, I have a pen handy for writing. I'm gonna grab this frame. It's a cute frame. I don't wanna show it too much the front because it's an old, who remembers Hog River frames? I love those frames. But they were kind of, they were hard to get sometimes, and they didn't come custom sizes because of the different embellishments that they put on them. I just love the frame, so they just really added something to the piece. So, but I want, for purposes of what we're doing, it's what I had on hand or handy. So you're gonna wanna take, now I know that the back of this says it's a 5x7 frame, but I'm gonna go ahead and double check anyway. And so I'm just going to put my ruler up like this, and I'm gonna go, actually, this says it's 5.5. And this way, it's a little more like 7.5. So isn't that funny? Because it does say 5x7 right there. So it always pays to measure, again, what's that? Measure twice, cuss once, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so go ahead and measure. So 5.5 by 7.5. Now I'm gonna tell you, I am not going to necessarily cut my piece 5.5 by 7.5 because you want it to fit in there and have a little bit of play. Now your rabbit, that's the overhang right here, is generally usually about 1/4 inch. Sometimes some ready-made frames can be a little bit narrower. So if you cut this just a hair off 5.5 by 7.5, it'll move around in there a little bit. That's okay because you've got this part. I measured the opening of the back of the frame, all right? So that's actually, the opening is 5x7. I do remember, now that I'm saying that, I do remember that about Hog River frames. Does anybody else, any shop owners remember that? The front opening is 5x7. So that's why the back opening is 5.5 by 7.5 because you've got that 1/4 inch overhang there. So, so let's see, I don't want a tight fit with my mat board because you have to wrap linen around it or Aida or fabric or whatever it is you're doing. So that's gonna add a little bit of width to the foam core as well. So we don't wanna, and I like a little bit of play in there so that I can scooch it around. So if my stretching and my lacing isn't like 100% spot on, I have what I call the fudge factor. Just a little bit of extra room so that I can scoot it around in the frame before I secure it in place. Okay? So I'm gonna stop the camera here because I'm gonna tilt it down so that you can kind of see what I'm doing here on the counter. So, okay, hold on. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So I've got my mat board down and I've got my piece of foam core. And now with this one, I actually do have a very nice straight edge. And I know that because, well, I'm the one that cut it off the larger piece of foam core. But you can tell if you've got a straight edge by placing it on your mat board and then just lining it up with the straight lines that are on your mat board. So if it was just a little bit off, then I would say give yourself a fresh cut, a fresh straight line cut. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just assume that I'm good here, and I want that 5.5 by 7.5 fit. So since I kind of know like my width will fit this way and my length will fit that way, I've got it nice and lined up on my inch mark here, my line on my mat board. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inch marks and then my ½ inch mark. And I'm going to scoot my ruler over. Now what you want to do is get really comfortable with all the lines, and I'm going to show you. There's all kinds of lines on there. Your 1/4 inch, ½ inch, 3/4, and then even getting down into the 1/8. So get comfortable with those lines, and also get comfortable with the lines on your mat board. All right, so I'm going to lay this on top, and you'll notice, okay, I'm double checking everything, that I'm still nice and straight. Okay, then I'm going to lay this on top, and you'll notice where I've got the bulk of the ruler on top of the mat board. So that's way it'll help it from shifting, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I could do it where I was like this and lining up on this side, but then I'd probably be like this and I'd be trying to hold this and not have it move and things like that. So make it easy for yourself, okay? So I'm gonna have my nice straight side here, nice and lined up. And this ruler is 6 inch wide. So the majority of the ruler is going to be sitting on the mat board. And you notice I'm taking care to line it up. Now I'm going to check in a couple different spots. So I said this is a 6 inch ruler. So I'm going to come in a ½ inch and I'm going to follow that ½ inch line on the edge of not only on the edge of my already pre-cut piece of foam core, but then I'm going to check on this side that I should match up on the ½ inch mark over here. So I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half over here. All right. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. And you can count on here too. So count. So, and make sure you're lined up here, you're lined up here, you're lined up here. Then I'm going to open up my blade, all right, and I've made sure that I have a nice fresh blade. Now, I open it up to where I have all of the first blade showing and a good bit of that second blade showing. Can you see? Because the blades themselves are about 3/4 inch, like you would snap it off. But, so I have a good amount open, and then you can lock this, come back here. And you always want to pull towards yourself. Now, foam core, it's pretty easy. I've got a fresh blade. I can probably cut through everything in one strike, but when you're first learning, I'm gonna suggest that you do kind of your first strike will be kind of just a nice, fairly deep one. You're just kind of getting a groove in there. That's more particular when, say maybe you're cutting mat board and it's a little more thin. I tend to do that. I try to tell people, don't try and score through it all in one slice, okay? Go ahead and kind of create yourself a guide first. Now, the best thing I can tell you is that you're using the edge of the ruler as a guide for this. And you really want to think about your blade being straight up and down, okay? So perpendicular to the table. And as you can see, I've got my hand here. I'm holding this down, and I'm gonna put my blade against my ruler up here at the top, and then I'm going to use the ruler, the edge of the ruler, as a guide. Okay? Now, I can tell just by the way I did that, I did not go the whole way through. So I'm going to, you notice I haven't moved my hand. I'm going to go through it again. Oh, and see, in that time, I felt all this move, all right? So that took me 2 strikes to go through that, and I've done this a lot. So here's my edge, and it's nice and smooth. I don't have any little jagged edge in there because of that clean blade. So I've got my 5.5 this way. Now, I know you're saying, well, she said put a little extra room in there. I am going to cut it 5.5 by 7 because I want to see how well I fit in there, because sometimes rulers are off and we can always cut more off. Harder to add it back. So I'm going to now, I've got my 5.5 this way, so I need to get my 7.5. So I'm going to test this edge. This looks pretty straight and pretty right angle, but I'm going to line it up on my grid on my mat board just to test it and make sure that it is indeed straight. So I'm going to line up my top side, or my bottom side, and my top side. And you know what? This is really not showing. It's kind of, it's hard to see on camera, but it's kind of wobbling a little bit. So I'm actually going to give it a fresh cut because I've got plenty of length here. So I'm going to turn it over this way. I'm going to line my straight edges up. So I'm definitely on a line here, and I'm halfway through here because I cut it 5.5. So I'm going to take my ruler again. This time I'm not as concerned about the measurement as I am making sure that my ruler, number one, I'm nice and straight here. I'm lining up some of these little hash marks with the top and the bottom edges of my piece. And I'm lining the edge up with the inch marker on the mat board, okay? So I'm good to go where I am. I'm going to take my blade. Again, I'm going to pull towards myself, and I'm going to snug the blade up next to the ruler, and I'm really holding it down. Okay, and I'm going to go through again, and this time that came away. So now I've got 3 sides cut. I've got my 5.5 width. I've got a nice right angle here. All right, and it's nice and clean. So now I'm going to go ahead and line up my top edge and my side on the grid lines on my mat board. Okay, now here, because I'm cutting at 7.5, this ruler is only 6 wide. I can't use this as a guide, so I really have to make sure that it's straight on my mat, my cutting mat, and then I use the inch lines on my cutting mat as the measurement for the 7.5. So I'm nice and lined up, nice and square, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, and I'm going to scoot my ruler over. I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight. I'm lining up the hash marks on my ruler with the 1/2 inch mark on the mat and the cutting mat, the quilting mat. And I'm nice and straight. I'm lined up here. I'm lined up here. Oh, so many spots where you can make sure that you're lined up. And then I'm going to take my my X-Acto, and once again, I'm going to pull down. And I cut that little piece off. Took me two swipes again. And then, so now, if I did it right, this would be embarrassing if I didn't. I'm going to go ahead and test it in there. And this is why we test, because I fit down here, but I don't fit up here. So that tells you this is a little bit too big for that. That's why I cut it large, and then we can cut it down a little bit. So I'm actually, and then this way, I don't have a lot of give to go up and down. So I'm actually going to trim about 1/8 of an inch off this side and that side. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back down on my mat. And I'm lining my nice straight edge up with the line on the mat board. Oops, sorry, I'm going to grab my ruler. And I'm going to use the hash marks on my ruler to line up with lines on the cutting mat. And I'm going to trim just 1/8 of an inch off this. don't know why, sometimes when I cut those real skinny little ones, they cut, like I can usually get them in one swoop. I don't know, one swipe. I don't know, swoop, swipe, I don't know, what are we gonna call that? But anyway, so I took a little bitty bit off the side, and now I'm going to do it again on this side. And I'm just kind of working with it to make sure that it fits in my frame. So you can see I turned it, I lined up this edge with a line on my cutting mat. I'm lining up the marks on my ruler again to make sure I'm making a nice straight cut. Why do we want such a straight cut? Well, when you go to, I lace my needlework. I don't use the tape on the needlework. I do tend to lace. That's how I was taught, and I prefer the look that way because I feel like I get a better finished product. But we want the edges to be straight, even though it's going in a frame and you won't see the very edge. If the edges are straight, you'll be able to pull it as you lace it, and it'll go nice and straight. You won't have any little dips and divots and things like that to show on the front. Okay, so I lined my ruler up. And again, you can see I'm pulling towards myself, and I have my X-Acto perpendicular to the surface. I don't want to go like this, or I don't want to go like that, because then you don't get that nice clean edge. Okay, so I cut another little bit off. All right, we're gonna test it again. I'm thinking we should be good. Yay, look at that. And you can see I've got a little bit of wiggle room. It won't show, you know, an opening on the front. It fits in there nicely. But if sometimes when you're lacing, oh my gosh, you can just get like one little fabric thread off, and then so what I can do is I can actually scoot it in here a little bit before I finally nail it into place. So anyway, so that hopefully helps you with how I cut my mat board. I'm going to stop here and then come back up. Okay, so I'm back. Hopefully you were able to see, I'm kind of working out the kinks of doing the little demonstrations and things like that. So bear with me as we, you know, it's all a process. We just, you know, you got to keep trying these different things. So that's how I cut a mat board. I use this little X-Acto knife. Make sure when you're not using it, please lower it. And then I keep, this is a little needle nose pliers is always handy to have on hand for a variety of different things. But this way I can snap off the dull blade. So I always want to have a nice clean blade. If you don't have a good ruler, this is a good size to have. I also have like a 3-inch wide one that's a little bit longer. Definitely invest in some of these if you're going to do any kind of finishing for yourself. And then now I have several, I have a lot of mat boards because, well, this is what I do, so I need them. But this is a nice handy little size. I call that sort of like a travel size. But do get yourself some of those kinds of things if you're going to do any kind of finishing. And like I said, you know, definitely make sure as you're pulling towards yourself and making sure that the blade is straight up and down, and that way you're going to get the best cut of all. And again, I can't reiterate enough, the reason why I want that nice clean edge is then when I go to say, here, I'll just do this. Okay, this doesn't fit on here. But when I'm done with this, and if I want to lace this, okay, so I'll eyeball center it. And then when I go to lace it on the edge, I'll get a nice smooth edge. Okay, smoother than this because I'm holding it into place now. But that's basically why you do that. So anyway, so there you go. So new releases, Star-Spangled Swine, and the Scary Apothecary, Cackle Lozenges, Coffin Paint, and Cauldron Cleaner. I have to kind of get used to saying those. Those all ship on the 30th. Shops are now taking orders, and I will put a link below to my website, a list of shops where you can get that carry my charts. Those shops order directly from me. They're on an automatic program, so theirs will go out in the first round on the 30th. They have all the information for ordering. And I apologize. I know it's coming out. Usually when I send information out at the end of a week, then we ship the following week. But I have a house full of company coming tomorrow, and we are traveling to Ames, Iowa on Wednesday to cheer my son on, and my other son Billy, you've met him in some previous videos. He participates in, he'll be at the State Special Olympics Games. Billy does sports year round, and right now we're doing tennis, and his dad and I are his coaches. Well, we coach the whole team, and so we're taking ourselves, we will be coaching on 5 or 6, I think we have 6 this year, athletes through singles and doubles unified games. So that's why there was the slight delay in shipping everything out. So sorry guys, family first. So I'm super excited about that. I'll let you know how he does. Deb will be here packing orders. However, I didn't dare leave her to do all this while I was gone, because she, yeah, okay, yeah, no. But anyway, really excited about the upcoming releases. I've got more coming, more fun things in May, or excuse me, June, and very excited about it. So keep your Mania going. We're rounding that bend, getting close to the end of May, and I just keep the pictures coming. So in the meantime, enjoy the stitch. We'll talk to you later.